Now, without further ado, we'd like to begin the first session of this contest. The first speaker is Mr. Kazuki Konishi. His speech title is Let's Graduate from Marriage. Let's graduate from marriage. So, Mr. Konishi, would you come up to the stage?
Thank you, the Master of Ceremony, and distinguished judges, all of the organizers, and the audience. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. You don't understand. No, it's you. 'Cause who will you stay with? Mom? What's that? I was only 3 years old. My parents' shout woke me up. Suddenly, I faced an impossible choice. I just answered, I'll stay home, and went back to sleep. The next morning, she was gone. Where's Mom? Was it my fault? If I had said, I will still be a mom, would she still be home? Fortunately, she came back a few days later. But even now, whenever I hear loud quarrel, the anxiety and self-blame flash back. Have you ever seen your parents argue? Sadly, according to the Japanese Psychological Association, 64% of parents argue in front of their kids. Today, I'll share the impact of parents' arguments and how to prevent them. To all parents, future parents, and children, let's rethink marriage and protect our families. Psychologist Dr. Yohei Inoue explains that parents' quarrels deeply affect children's personalities. Some children believe they caused a conflict, leading to self-denial. Also, they become sensitive to their parents' moods. This anxiety makes them fear that loved ones will hurt them. So, they push others away with cold words as safeguards. This behavior becomes a habit. As a result, they grow up without learning emotional control. Thus, they easily argue in front of their kids and traumatize them. My parents are also victims of this cycle. In fact, both of my grandparents argued constantly when my parents were children. That affected my parents, so they often reacted with anger and harsh words. So it was normal for them to quarrel in front of me. Such daily arguments between spouses create a negative spiral. So why do arguments happen even though they once loved each other? Actually, excessive closeness brings disputes for 3 reasons. First, psychoanalyst Freud noted that being too close and interfering too much sparks arguments. Second, spending so much time together makes flaws stand out. Third, couples often expect to each other to read their minds. When expectations differ, it causes conflict. Indeed, my parents typically shouted, "Your cleaning is always awful," or "Why did you put it away? Can't you see? I was about to use it." I've seen the countless times the small frustrations explode into huge arguments just because things didn't go their way. So naturally, they were exhausted by daily life, so they tried to stop arguing. But that peace lasted less than 2 weeks. They couldn't stand each other's shortcomings and got furious. Despite their efforts, my home was filled with harsh words again. 10 years ago, my parents found a way for a healthy distance and peaceful life. My family watched a TV program about graduated marriage, sotsukan in Japanese. It's not divorce. It means couples avoid unnecessary interference and respect mutual independence. For example, separating housework, living spaces, and finances. When I learned about graduated marriage, I strongly suggested to my parents, why don't you graduate from marriage? If you do so, no more arguments, right? Honestly, it's very tough watching you argue. But I also don't want to separate from either of you. They realized my emotional scars, so they decided to try graduated marriage. Then, my parents made 3 main rules. First, doing their own housework. Don't rely on each other. Second, working together in raising me. Third, when they have something to say, make lists and be clear. Thanks to the rules, they said, I can do house chores in my own way. And making lists clarifies our thoughts so we can discuss calmly. The quarrels have stopped because the complaints have disappeared. Of course, graduated marriage isn't perfect. It might lower the barrier to divorce. Moreover, it's quite new and not easy for others to accept. However, all about the reports, 80% of graduate spouses said it's effective. Specifically, they aren't frustrated and find their good points again. It gives the couples a chance to reconsider their connection and distance. Marriage is great and has various styles. So my parents' example is just one. So if your marital life is peaceful, you don't need graduated marriage. But if you argue weekly or monthly, please look into it. With graduated marriage, my parents' hopeless arguments are over. Now, I don't have to read their faces, and my anxiety is gone. Finally, I'm free from the impossible choice, mom or dad. And I found couples can live peacefully. So parents and future parents, if you have many disputes, will you continue the life or divorce? But before you decide, how about graduating from marriage? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Konishi. Now, we will have a question and answer session. Mr. Eboshi, please.
Okay, good morning, Konishi-san.
Good morning.
Glad to see you again. Okay, how do you feel right now?
Really impressive because I can give the speech in the Yasuda auditorium.
Okay, that's very good. Okay, for my first question, can you elaborate on the specific challenges your family faced when transitioning to graduated marriage?
Transitioning?
Can you elaborate? Can you explain more in more detail on the specific challenges your family faced when transitioning to graduated marriage?
The difficulty was my father works at midnight, so he is actually a truck driver. So that's everything housework is actually it was difficult because the truck driver is one of the most hardest and using quite energy and body. So after working, it's quite difficult to do housework. But he did, if he thought that graduate marriage is one of the answer for me, so they did in full scale.
All right. And next question. You explained some kind of advantages of graduated marriage,
Yes.
but I also think that there are some disadvantages.
Yeah.
So please tell us some risks or disadvantages of graduated marriage that families should consider.
So the demerit is kind of the right of the property. So if you live in a house, not apartment or something, if you have their own house, it's quite difficult which property exists, or the wife or the husband. So those kind of the legal things are quite difficult problems.
Okay, so next question. What advice would you give to children who witness frequent arguments between their parents?
So I want to say it's not your fault. So actually, when I was, as I said in the speech, when I was 3 years old, I felt it wasn't my fault, but I felt like they argue, which related me. So it's not your fault. It's okay. Please be safe. You don't need to worry about.
Okay, time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boshi and Mr. Konishi. Please go back to your seat. Now, we will have the judging time.